welcome back to the show. This can't sit here doing nothing. We've got to do something with it. Right, a lot of the YouTube videos I watch, the people on it are all upbeat and happy, so I'm going to try and do a bit of that. Exciting, huh? Right, the 451, as with all smarts, the audio is not great. It's okay, it's passable. For a car you're supposed to only really drive around in the city. But it's actually, this particular model, quite easy to update the speakers. So I figured we might as well do an update to this, but we're going to do it in two phases. The first phase, for people who don't really know what they're talking about, don't really know what they're doing, who just want slightly better audio. And let's do that for like 50 quid. And then we'll go all out and change the speakers and head unit, that sort of stuff in phase two. Let's say 300 quid. Now, instead of buying speakers for like 50 quid just to then buy a whole set for 300 quid, I'm just going to use these old ones. They seem to be attached to everything because they're magnetic. These are Punt GT series. Oh, everything's attached to the back of it because it's magnetic. Right, hang on a second. Okay, success. Yeah, these are Punt GT series. These are 200 watt. Now, don't pay too much attention to the information I give you because 200 watt is 200 watt peak. Now, obviously that's bullshit numbers. Lucky enough, this one actually gives you RMS, which is root mean squared, which is the more believable number, 45 watts. Now, it's a small cabin. That only needs to compress a little bit of air to make that sound good. So we don't need massive speakers, we don't need super power. 45 watt is absolutely fine. These are 4 ohms, fairly standard on a car speaker. So we're going to go for those. Stick them down there. And if you're going to go cheap and you want to make it easy for yourself, make sure you get speakers with a grill. Because if you just fit that, eventually you're going to put your foot through it. So you're going to need 2 speakers. These are speakers. Helpful, well done. They are, I believe, 165. I could be just making that to be honest. These are 165. There goes a ruler there, 165, which I believe is 6.5 inches. Not a bad scale. They're alright. It's got a very slight indent on that one where it got thrown into the corner there for years. But we're going to use them because they're only going to go on for a minute or so just to prove that they go on, work and actually do a good job. So there we go. These are the door speakers. Wow! Pretty boring, huh? This is the Bosch Highline stereo. Not particularly good stereo, but sounds alright actually, to be honest. If yours hasn't failed, brilliant. It will eventually, but this one at the moment seems to work fine. So what we're going to do, for a nice easy phase one, we're just going to change these speakers, but we're going to do it the easy way. And when I say easy way, I mean you're an absolute fucking caveman, because what we're going to do is smash the living shit out of them and cut out little bits that are in the way and then just plaster over the top of it. It's just so much easier, because otherwise, to get to them properly, you have to remove the door. To remove the door, you have to remove the front. To remove the front, you have to remove the side skirts. A lot of pissing around. Now, if you do it that way, you're looking at an hour per door. If you do it this way, probably 10 minutes, if that. The only thing you've got to look out for is damaging any of the fabric when you take these off. So just be a little bit more careful. You spaz-handed pricks. 165mm speakers. You don't have to get anything expensive. You get, at least get something that's got a brand name in it that you recognise. So no dim low fuck or anything like that. The only thing you'd have to be a bit wary about is the depth. Now if you mount it on the outside of the door, you've got a little bit extra to play with, because obviously you've got the thickness of the door, which is about 5-6 mil. What you don't want is that magnet to be sitting too far out, because what you've got is glass. Glass and then solid objects don't mix particularly well. So what you don't want to do is have your window up, fit your speakers all nicely, and then first time you put your windows down, they'll either suddenly get jammed halfway down or slightly brush the back of that, and then next thing you know your windows exploded and you don't really know why. I don't want to see anyone trying to fit ridiculous fucking bass speakers in there. Bear in mind that this is obviously plastic. It's going to resonate, so you don't want too much power going through it, because otherwise it's just going to turn into a buzzing mess. You know, this is fine. On phase 2, I will get some sound deadening panels. It's just like sticky back shit that you put inside there, just to stop any resonance. Helps a little bit, but still, don't stick massive fucking speakers in your car doors. They're ridiculous. You don't need it. Yeah, get onto Amazon or whatever. You shouldn't need to spend more than like 50 quid, including delivery. Now these particular ones are coaxial speakers. So even got it written on the back so I remember it. Now what that means is it's actually 2 speakers in one. The outside does the mid-range, and the centre part does the high frequency or tweeters. Now the problem with that is tweeters are high frequency, so they're a lot more directional. So unless they're actually facing towards you, you're going to lose a lot of the high frequencies of the music. So if you do fit them, the coaxial ones with the tweeters built in, you may have to mess around with the EQ just to boost the higher range, just to make it a bit more balanced. With the phase 2, I'll have standard component speakers. Now component speaker is just a separate single speaker, and we've got separate tweeters which we can put anywhere. Not quite sure where we're going to put them, because when I've done it before, I actually stuck them in the top of the air vents. We can't do it on this one because it's the updated version, and I'd also previously put them in there. That extra little bit of height does help, so I might consider putting them in there again. It looks good as well. Right, step 1, destruction. Right, I've put you in the car. I'll try not to wobble you around too much, otherwise you're not going to see what the hell's going on. Now you're going to need some sort of prying tool. This is for nails or trim, although trim tools are normally plastic, and either a cloth or tape. So you don't really want to damage too much the car. They do tend to break when you pull them off. That was a little bit snappy, but now you can see the vast cheapness of this speaker. I mean, just listen to it. Finest paper by the look of it. So we need to, all these little bits have snapped off. We need to get those out. You don't want those rattling around. Rattling's bad. So we need to clear these holes out, but we need to get rid of this. And obviously that is not coming out that way. Not in one bit anyway. Okay, we're going to need to do a little bit of surgery now, so you need to get yourself a fine scalpel and then throw it away and just get a big fucking knife. Okay, you don't need to destroy it quite as much as that, but it's quite enjoyable. And now what we've got there is called the basket. Now obviously that's going to be in the way, so if you get your speaker, that's no good, because all that shit's in the way. So what we need to do is get that out in pieces. And now's also a good time to get rid of any of these pegs that are left over. Just push them out. And of course bear in mind that we are talking about broken bits of plastic here, so things are going to be sharp, so expect blood. You can be as gentle or as rough as you like cutting the basket, but I know what you're like, so bypass loppers. What you've got to be careful is not to cut through any wiring that might be hidden in there somewhere. To be honest, it doesn't really go down that far, apart from the one that goes to the speaker, which isn't an issue. You pull it out and disconnect. There you go, that is what is left of your speaker. It's good, no? Made in Poland. Now you might want to take a little bit of time just to cut back anything of the basket that may interfere, but what we'll also need to do is take off these little ribs here. They were great for holding off on the old one, but not so good for the new one, because the new speaker is actually a bit larger. I'm going to cut back the basket a little bit more. May even actually try and get in there with a Torx Allen key and try and undo the bolts. I think there's six or so, and then maybe cut the rest of the basket in half and pull it out. Right, remember that bit about getting in there with a Torx driver and then trying to undo it? No. Or just get in there and just lever the fucking things out. There you go, nice and easy. Right, if you are brave enough to try and get them out, they're Torx 20s. But I dare say that for the angle, that's going to be a bit of a nightmare. If you can get a Torx 20 on a tiny little ratchet, you're probably all right. Now to get these off, if you look inside there, you can see there's a definite rim. And you can't really go past that. So you can take off probably 8mm on the outside, 7mm, something like that. Now what I used to do was get a Dremel with a nice big burr on it and just scoop the entire lot out. Now the problem with that is this particular fabric has got strands in it. Now if that catches, it can actually pull, and next thing you know, you've got a ladder in your tights running out from where everything would be hidden. So you need to be really careful. I would recommend get a nice sharp knife and just run right around the outside of that lip. So then when we do cut this back by whatever means you want, it's not going to suddenly grab a thread and then fuck your entire door card up. And just a side note, don't throw that bit away yet. We do need that. It's got a nice connector on it, which we shall reuse if it's not too fucked up. Oh, sorry, I've also forgotten to be like loud and animated, which is very hard to do because I'm not American. So, woo, here we go. We've got a nice sharp razor blade. Just going to very carefully, yeah, woo! Now don't slip, because obviously that will also fuck your door card up. You don't need to go right up to the edge. $5mm from the outside is fine. So if that does happen like this, it gets to there and everything is saved. This looks like your pants after a night out on the curry. So there you go, we can now cut that back without any worry of this fraying. If you really want to, I've never needed to, you can always get a bit of PVA glue on the edge of that just to stop it fraying, but it's glued down, it's not going to go anywhere, especially with that clamped over the top of it. So let's get cutting. Right, I'm going to be using a Milwaukee rotary tool, a Dremel. And it's got a carbide burr on it. These tend to make fairly light work, but they can get a bit clogged. Just don't start taking massive chunks out of it. And ideally, protection. Now that could be a problem where it gets a bit gummed up, and as that gets hot, it starts melting instead of cutting. So when it starts to fling bits off everywhere, just wait until it cools down and start again. See what I mean about getting hot? That's plastic. Smell that rubber. And it's hot. And then just get your blade and give it a little tidy up where it's melted. Don't get too close to it. I've caught it there and it's a little bit loose, so be very careful. Right, that's looking alright, and it still hides it a lot. Now what you need to do is try and rescue any of the bits of plastic that have fallen down in there, because otherwise you're going to rattle. So get your vacuum cleaner, ask your wife. We are back to the mangled basket. Now if you're any good at soldering, brilliant. There's the connector. All we're going to do is just cut it off. I'll probably using a hacksaw or something, and then solder a wire on each one of those, and each one of these will be the connection for the speaker. You can buy these connectors with the wires already attached. I'll link them in the description, but since this is the cheapy version, we will not be using these. There you go. What I've done is just added a little bit of wire with spray connectors that will suit the speakers. The large one will be the positive, that will be the negative, maybe, yep. And as you look down it like that, negative is on that side, positive is on this side. As you can see, these, that's a small terminal, large terminal. Large terminal is the red, small terminal is negative. So you just have to plug them in. And that is your connector that will fit the existing speaker wiring. Now if you've got a hot glue gun or anything like that, or you fancy any of that sort of shit, just hot glue the new terminal in place. I suppose if you really wanted to, you could always tape it to the magnet. What you don't want it to do is floating around everywhere, but wrapped it in tape like I have, shouldn't be a problem. Right, as you can see, just to double check, the speaker now fits in and butts right up against it. The actual edge of the speaker fits perfectly inside the indent of the original door card, so that's good. So you need to plug it in, get it lined up straight. Your idea of straight might be different to mine. And then mark all the holes that you need to hold just the speaker in place. Bearing in mind that at some point that is going to have to go over the top and screw through one of these holes to hold that in place. So don't start using up all the screw holes, otherwise you won't get that in place either. So what I'm going to do now is just mark up all the holes and then decide which ones I actually want to use. Now you won't be able to get these ones in particular, so don't start looking around for them. So pay attention to yours. Mine have got the holes at the 45-degree marks, so I need to steer clear of those. So that'll be using those ones there. So I'm going to stick to the 0, 90, 180 and 270 marks to screw those in. So I'll place that in there and then mark the holes with plastic. It does help to pre-drill the holes. You don't need ridiculously long screws because it's only thin plastic. Yeah, if you cut too far and you remove any of this accidentally, I mean I obviously did a bit on purpose just to show you, let's go with that. This is bollocks! You could use something like this. These are like panel clips and they go in like that. You can screw through them and they grip hold nicely, because otherwise you consider that the screw is going to cut in about there and actually come out from behind that. But if you cut into it like I did on purpose, let's go with that, there's nothing really for it to dig into. So I may have to use some of those, but not an issue because, again, it gets covered up. I'll leave links to that in the description, I guess it's always handy. You see it leaves a nice little mark exactly where it's blows through the hole, and yeah, a screw is not going to hold on to that one, so I'm going to have to use one of these clips here. So I perhaps did that, yeah, let's go with that, just so you can see it can be done. So it needs to sit on there, so as it pulls in, it clamps either side of it and gives you something to screw into. And then you need to get yourself a drill. Other drill brands are available if you're poor. Find the screw pack to come with your speakers, and then find a suitable drill. Doesn't need to be massive. I'll go in 2mm. And the one that I fucked up on purpose, let's go with that. Yeah, it's only thin plastic, so you don't need to put your almighty weight on it. Right, the screws you've just sized up and now lost, find them again. Find the suitable screwdriver and fit the speaker. Don't forget to plug it in. Now you know you've got the right screwdriver. These ones aren't magnetic, but if the screw stays in the end, it's the right one. Right, make sure it's all secure. It's probably a good time to test it, make sure it's actually working for you. Start placing those on. Yeah, it sounds right to me. That was Doom style industrial metal, torn flesh, royalty free, no copyright background music. Because obviously I can't put the radio on, otherwise some fucker like Coldplay will take on my revenue. Not that I get much fucking revenue. It's we are talking pennies here, but I don't want to give them anything. Sounds alright. It's got a fair bit of bass to it. Hang on. You might not be able to hear it. Might not be able to hear a word I'm fucking saying. So once you're happy with that, all you got to do is put the front covers on. It's going to stop you kicking it when you get in and out. You can't really see much of it when you're in the car with the door closed. Sounds alright. Certainly sounds better than the paper crappy cone things that come with the car standard. What we've got to do now is do the other side. Now if you're not filming a video, it's probably going to take you about an hour. And it's not like you need some super tools, just your standard disruptors, things what are going to break stuff, like hammers and knives and bypass loppers for some reason. But do what you got to do. It's a nice easy way of doing it. And in stage 2, we're going to go up one more level, I think. So yeah, like, subscribe, tune in for that shit. And we'll do slightly better than this next time with tweeters. Again, last time I had tweeters because the old ones were square, the old vents, and you could put them in the top and they could fire up and then reflect off the windscreen, and it worked really nicely. But yeah, I'm not going to be able to put them there. I always put the tweeters in them, but then you've lost all your vents. So yeah, they might get in there. And we're also going to fit a new stereo and an unseat subwoofer as well. That'll make it sound even better. So tune in, I don't know, 2 weeks, whatever the fuck it is. When I started doing Patreon because of the YouTube channel, I thought, well, I'll do a £1 and a £3 because that's all that I do. You know, no one in the right mind is gonna give me more than like £3 a month just for this fucking load of shit. I did a 1 and 3, and I thought, well, just a joke, I'll do a £5 one. And for the £5 one, I will offer your name on the wall of legends, with not so much no intention of doing it because I don't actually have any wall really to put anything on. It's all a little bit stacked with stuff. When Matt from Techmoan stumped for the £5, I thought, oh shit. Now, years ago, I actually planned, before I even thought about it, I bought quite a few pre-cut wooden hexagons that I was especially going to engrave and put on the wall of legends. And this was probably back when I had a bit of wall, but as you can see, there is not a lot of wall. That's a whiteboard. That's not a bit of wall. You can't see any of that. You can't get to any of that. You can't see. They're cupboards. They're cupboards. So there's a little bit there. So I thought, well, possibly I'll add it there. yeah, then take one joined up and thought, oh, I better get around to doing that. So I had a little mess around, and this is what I did. So it's temporary placement at the moment. This nice little area. Yeah, nicely laser engraved. Because originally I was just going to, just there somewhere, there is a massive great laser cutter. It's enormous. Getting that out, not so easy. So the other option was to use my little Galvo laser, which is nice and easy. It's right there, it's small. Issue is it doesn't burn wood. So I did a little testing here. What I did was, these are just like chipboard. I sprayed it with your standard black like spray paint, and then ran it through a laser, and the laser perfectly takes off the spray paint and leaves the wood alone. It looks really actually quite good. And it's even more impressive actually watching it do it. So now this is the Wall of Legends. It's a bit sparse at the moment, but at some point, once I moved all that, that will be covered. If one more person comes up, then I'll add it there. If another person turns up, then I'll consider moving it over there. I'll probably stick a board up there, something. Start making these with maybe magnets on the back, so then I can have a whiteboard there and I can stick those up, move them around. And if you do want yours up there, if you let me know what colour you want, I'll see what I can do.